And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look, this is our third look at the Minigame Library from Level 99 Games, and we're going to take a look at the last game in this one, and that's Pixel Tactics. Now, Pixel Tactics is my favorite game from the genre, to the point where I think Pixel Tactics could be expanded and be its own big game that you sold, and in fact I know they're doing that with Pixel Tactics 2, which is coming out, and there's going to be more. But this small little game here, Pixel Tactics, which has 2 decks of cards in it and 2 players are playing against each other, shares the same universe as the BattleCon games, as Indine's universe, but it does so with little pixel people, which is the rage these days, to recall back to our 80s childhood, I suppose. But what this is a little tactical game along the lines of games like Summoner Wars and Mage Wars, where your opponent has a leader and you're trying to kill that leader. But this game has a really neat function. Let's get to it. First thing I want you to realize here is that this big mat here does not actually come with the game. It's a promo item that I have. You don't really need it. I'm using it here for illustrational purposes. But each player is going to have a 3x3 grid in front of them. One spot where they put their leader, and then they'll put other cards around that leader. And this is your unit, and you are attempting to rout the opponent's unit basically by killing their leader. Now, this game takes place with a deck of cards, and each of these cards comes like this, and there's a lot of text on these cards, but what these cards are is multi-use cards. One of them is going to be your leader. So like here is Lixus Ran Kanda, or Seth Kreml. I can't really pronounce these people's names. Kadith Ahemos, blah, 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 blah. But you can see that there's different leaders, and each of these leaders has a different ability. During the game itself, you will be playing these cards and putting them in your front row, your vanguard, on the 2 flanks of your leader, or in your rear, and each of them has a different ability based on where you put them. For example here, the Alchemist takes 2 less damage from attacks when he's in the vanguard, but if I put him in the flank, then my leader takes 2 less damage from attacks. And so it might be worth it for me to put him in the flanks. Or if I put him in the rear, I can apply 1 damage up to 5 different heroes. And so I'm going to have to figure out the best place to put this guy as the game progresses. There's also a purple thing on each of these cards, and that's if you play the card from your hand as a special action. So each card can be played as a leader, which you have 1 of at the beginning of the game, and he'll be placed here. But as the game progresses, they can be played in any of these 3 areas or as a special card. Now, the way the game works is each player is going to pick a leader from a hand of 4 cards that they draw at the beginning of the game, and they're going to place those down, and then you will start the turn. Now, the way the game works is you play this in waves. There's a first player and a second player. And so the first player will take 2 actions with their Vanguard wave, then the second player will do the same thing. Then the first player will take 2 actions with the next wave, then the second player will do the same thing. Then with the rear wave, 2 actions, and the second player. Then you switch first and second player, and you keep going until someone has defeated your opponent's leader. Now, what actions do you have on your turn that you can take? One of your actions can be a recruit action. You simply take a card from your hand and place it in the current wave that you're in. You can place them in any open spot. So here I put out a vampire, or maybe I'll put out an overlord, or maybe I'll put out a gunner. And each of these people will have different abilities, again, like I said, based on where you put them. Another thing you can do with somebody is you can attack. When you attack with each person, they can only attack someone who is in the front of your opponent's lines. So for example, if someone was attacking me, they could hit my Overlord, Vampire, or Gunner. If I didn't have the Vampire here, they could hit my Overlord, my leader here, Lixus Rankanda, or my Gunner. If my Gunner was in the rear, and there was nobody in front of him, then they could attack any of these 3 people. So they can attack the front person in each column as you're playing the game. So you'll want to put someone hopefully in front of your leader. Now, if somebody has a ranged attack, and many of these people have ranged attacks, for example, this gunner here has a ranged attack, it says on his thing there, and he gets +3 strength against intercepting heroes. You can hit anybody on the board unless the person in front of them has intercept. Notice this Overlord has intercept, so ranged people have to attack him before they can hit someone behind him. The vampire next to him does not have intercept, so if you have range attack, you can go ahead and shoot Lixis here and hurt her. And so you have basic attacks and range attacks. When you attack somebody, you will take the amount of damage that you do. You can see here that the vampire causes 2 damage, and you will apply that damage to the hero or the leader that you're attacking. And the game comes with damage counters that you can put on people. When both players have played their 2 actions of the wave, anybody who has damage that is equals or exceeds their health, let's say the vampire has taken 6 damage here, then that person is dead. You turn them over and they become a corpse. Another action you can take on your turn besides attacking is clearing a corpse, so you can take a corpse here and take it off so that you can put somebody else out later on. Another action you can take on your turn is to rearrange. You can rearrange people around there, and another action you can take is to draw cards. So each player is going to be taking these actions, and again, all actions are focusing on killing your opponent's leaders. Now, the leaders themselves will give all sorts of special abilities possibly to your team here. Like, for example, here, Lixis, she can, all opposing heroes, take 1 damage at the end of each wave. So she just is constantly causing damage to your opponents. While Cadenza here, your heroes and leader take 1 less damage from attacks. Or this really nasty one, heroes in this unit have +5 attack strength if they take damage this round. Luke gives you 3 actions per wave instead of 2. Here, Eric, when your opponent uses a melee attack, you decide which target he has. Here, this guy makes everybody in your unit have ranged attack. This guy gives you +2 to all your melee attacks, period. Here, playing an order, which is one of the actions you can take is playing a card as an order, the purple part. That's a free action for this guy. So everybody has this special ability that they have. And also, as I said, these people here, sometimes they will affect the person behind them. For example, if I put the gunner here in the flank, it says that the supporter, the person behind him, also has a ranged attack. So I might want to put somebody who has a powerful attack there so that they have ranged attack when attacking the opponent. So you just keep going back and forth, switching waves until you've destroyed your opponent's leader, in which case you rout their unit and you win the game. Okay, I'm a huge fan of pixel tactics, and I really like the fact that my favorite thing about the game is the fact that each card has 5 uses. That's just really neat. There's that leader, you'd be able to use it as a special card, and then where you put it in the rear, in the front, and the sides matters on how they play out. Now, what you will find when you first start playing is you will notice that the leader your opponent picks is broken. Almost every time, the leader he picks is so much better than your leader. Now, incidentally, he is likely thinking the same thing about you. I have yet, though, after playing multiple times, to find any leader who can't be beaten, and it's just knowing how to work with that leader, to use that leader's advantages, which are huge, and putting people in the right spots. There's so many of these cards, when I get them, I don't know what to do with it, because I want to play it for a special card, but I always want to stick it in certain positions, and that limited idea of 2 actions per turn, how am I going to attack someone? What am I going to do? You can get so caught up in the game that sometimes you forget your focus of the game is take out your enemy's leader. Not to take out all those other people, not to cause them all kinds of havoc. It's to take out that leader, and that is your goal. A game of Pixel Tactics takes about 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30, I suppose, if you're really playing a long game. But it feels very back and forth, very interesting because of the different wave mechanics. That back and forth, just you're always doing something. And after you play for a while, as soon as you draw a card, you're like, oh, right, great, I got the summoner, so I can use them in these spots. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they expand this game in the future with more things. In fact, there's a promo card, the Reviewer, that we have in our Dice Tower Kickstarter, which I thought was a neat aspect. But you can add new characters to the game, but at its base level, which this is right here, I find it very entertaining and interesting. If this was all there ever was, it would still be a lot of fun. I mean, this almost made my top 10 for 2012 just because of the pure entertainment value I got out of it. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. If you want a fast 2-player card game, Pixel Tactics is one of the best.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!